Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
A lot is going on in the world today. The second you turn on the news or launch X or Twitter for you purists out there, or even your Facebook app, and you look down your timeline, you get bombarded with a whole lot of the latest, you name it. And before you know it, you're deep down into the rabbit hole, distracted from something really important that you know you need to get back to doing. I don't care what it is. It could be folding clothes, doing dishes, or even going to the gym. We get distracted. And before long, we are so distracted that we forget to be productive. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that I think we all can relate to. The unproductive habits that keep holding us back from becoming the people we want to be, holding us back from becoming the people we need to be. If you're like me, this time of year has you reflecting on the progress that you've made so far. Well, maybe some of the progress you haven't actually made. I know the feeling of setting goals and going after them, only to end up feeling frustrated and stuck when those same old habits keep getting in the way. We all been there, trust me. It's like spinning your wheels, staying busy, multitasking, but not really moving forward. We all crave that sense of accomplishment, that feeling of knowing exactly where we are and actually making progress. But you know what? When we fall short because of habits that don't serve us, it's so discouraging. So today, we're going to talk about changing all of that. We're going to talk about breaking the cycle of unproductive habits so we can focus on the things that matter most and make real, lasting progress. I'm going to introduce you to a simple tool that I've put together called the Productivity Quadrant System. I know it sounds real techy, but trust me, it's very practical. You can use it. This isn't about doing everything perfectly or staying busy all the time. Listen, we're always busy. We can always find something to do, right? It's about helping you focus on what's truly important and making consistent, meaningful progress when it comes to your health, when it comes to even your relationships, or it could be just things going on at work and you want to be more productive. Now, you all know that I'm in the health and wellness, especially the fitness space. So I want you to think about that, especially if you're dealing with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes and you want to be more productive about getting your health in check, getting back to that place where you feel strong, you feel energetic, and you feel alive and looking great in the process. But first, we need to talk about what productivity actually means. So stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. You don't want to miss it. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Oscar Camejo, helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. Let me put all this into perspective when it comes to productivity and progress. I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, especially for those who are first-time listeners. You know, when I was 268 pounds and had just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I remember those first few days coming home from the hospital. I felt overwhelmed and I wanted to change my life, but I didn't really know where to start. I felt stuck. So one of the first things I did was order a cookbook for diabetics. I bought it, I think it was off Amazon or something like that. And man, I did a deep dive into that cookbook and was learning about foods that were low in sugar, low in sodium, or had zero sugar, very minimal carbs and whatnot. I also went and bought some new gym clothes, some new gym shoes, a new gym bag, I think I even bought a new fitness watch. I mean, I was excited, man, just really saying, hey, you know what? I got to get all of this together. I got some resistance bands, some jump ropes, just whatever I can find to help get me started. Signed up for the gym and was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm here at the gym and I don't know what I'm doing, but I did have a base knowledge of exercise and fitness because I had worked out years and years ago, and I was getting back into the groove, if you will. But it wasn't easy. It was challenging. Even though those changes were small, I still had to take my meds and figure out what was my new normal going to be. I had to make peace with where I was and focus on making small changes every day. And you know what? Each little step I took began to give me hope as I started seeing small results. But believe me, it was an uphill battle. I was consistently fighting against old eating habits and the negative thoughts that crept in. I used to think of myself as this overgrown walrus, and it affected my mental state and just my courage. And a lot was going on. Because I'm typically a very positive person, and to really have this negative self-doubt and self-talk coming in, it was making me question whether I could actually turn my health around. It was really hard, folks, and I'm pretty sure some of you can relate to that. If you've ever walked up a mountain or climbed 10 or more flights of stairs carrying a bunch of stuff, could be groceries, books, I don't know, then you know exactly what I mean. Every step is tough, right? You feel the burn. You feel like your legs are going to cave in and cave out, and your knees are going to buckle. Your back is hurting, and you just want to give up. You don't want to climb those stairs anymore. You don't want to climb up this mountain. But here's the thing. There's something powerful about reaching that halfway point, right? You look back and you ask yourself, do I give up because it's hard and head back? It's too difficult. Or do I celebrate the progress that I've made so far at this halfway point and keep going? Well, there's victory when we keep going. You see, that's when victory starts. It starts at the halfway point. It's, you know what? I've made it this far and I might as well just keep going. That's when you decide to keep moving forward, even when it's been hard, even when it's been tough, folks. The same is true when it comes to your life, especially your health and well-being. Progress and productivity are the keys to winning. And that's exactly what we're here to focus on today. Now, let's get into defining what productivity is. Productivity at its core is about moving forward in meaningful ways. It's not about filling every minute with a whole bunch of tasks and checklists that you just check off every item on that list. No, productivity means making consistent progress towards what really matters to you, not to anybody else, but to you. It's about moving forward. Remember, making progress, taking small steps, but moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time towards a healthier, more balanced version of yourself. As I'm recording this podcast, I'm looking at a picture of me from 2019. I was wearing this button-down shirt and they were taking pictures at work, and man, my face was huge. I remember not being able to button the collar on this shirt. And this probably was a 3X size shirt. And this 3X felt very, very tight. Man, it's crazy. This is 2019, folks. Now I wear a size medium, and medium feels comfortable. Medium is not even tight. So productivity, when I was 268 pounds in this picture and going through what I was going through, tired, sluggish, and so forth, wanting to make a change. Yeah, man, I wanted to be productive. I wanted to hustle and grind, but I had this mentality of I needed everything to be perfect, But you know what? Productivity isn't about the hustle. It isn't about perfection. It's about taking steady, intentional steps, no matter how big or how small, toward the life that you want. I knew back in 2019 and then later on in 2020 when I got newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I knew I wanted to change. I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to get this weight off of me and be healthy, but then I learned that health is more than just about losing weight. It's about feeling strong. It's about feeling energetic every day. Folks, it was an uphill battle. It was tough, but I'm happy. And so today I want to share with you a framework that I believe will help you to reframe your thinking, to get out of the hustle mentality. Like, oh, I just need to hustle and just, do a whole bunch of things. I need to be perfect. I need to get my perfect workout regimen in. I need to get the perfect this done. No, this framework and this system is called, like I mentioned before, the Productivity Quadrant System. And it's a way to tackle those counterproductive habits in a balanced way. We all have habits that, we formed over the years that we know we need to get rid of, that's holding us back, that keep us from being productive. So we're not just focusing on one part of your life while ignoring other parts. And that's why the quadrant system helps you to look at your entire life, and you can put different things in different categories or buckets, if you will, to help you organize those counterproductive habits and turn those into positive, more meaningful and helpful habits. Habits don't have to be bad. You can have good habits that help you to achieve the life that you want. So let me introduce you to this productivity quadrant system. Now, keep in mind, this system includes 4 main categories. So I want you to pause this episode, make sure you have something to write with, and I want you to write these down. Number 1, physical health. Number 2, mental focus. Number 3, time management. Number 4, personal development. Again, number 1, physical health. 2, mental focus. 3, time management. 4, personal development. Now, since you can't visualize this just yet, let me walk you through how this system is set up so you can get a clear picture in your mind. Now, imagine a big square divided into 4 equal sections, like a window with 4 panes. Each section or quadrant represents a different area where habits might be holding us back. I've done this intentionally because often we focus on one part of our lives and ignore the others. This system gives you a balanced approach. Now, in the top left corner, we have our first quadrant. That's the physical health. I like to call it working on the person in the mirror. This area is about taking care of your body and your energy, making sure we have all the fuel we need to feel strong and productive. So again, top left quadrant, physical health. Then if we move over to the right, we've got mental focus. This one's all about strengthening your mental muscle. So think about strengthening your mental muscle. Here we focus on keeping our minds clear and focused, like training a muscle to work for us and not against us. Now, down in the bottom left, we see time management. That's our third quadrant, right? Or what I call mastering the clock, not the other way around. This section is all about how we use our time effectively, setting boundaries and creating a rhythm in our day that works for us instead of overwhelming us. Time management is very, very key when it comes to productivity and making progress. And finally, in the bottom right, we have personal development. I call this one investing in your best self. This is where we focus on growing, challenging ourselves, and stepping out of our comfort zones. Each of these quadrants has 3 specific habits that tend to hold people back. By choosing just one habit from each quadrant, you can start to see balanced growth without feeling like you need to overhaul your entire life right away. So feel free to add any other specific habit that you're struggling with. Picture like a map with 4 key areas. And each area is a path to building a stronger, healthier, more productive you. So keep that quadrant system in mind. But if you're ready to start tackling those unproductive habits, be sure to check out the show notes for a link to the blog post where I've included a free downloadable version of my productivity quadrant system. This is going to help you out. So don't think that you have to write down verbatim everything that I'm saying, but it's good that you do have something to write with now, just so you can write down anything that jumps out to you. So this quadrant system is available on my website. It's a simple tool to help you to keep track and stay focused on what matters most. You can head on over to my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com/blog to access it and find more resources to support your journey. Now, let's move on. I want to break down each quadrant by starting with physical health. Quadrant number 1, remember, that's the physical health, working on the person in the mirror. Remember, I'm going to give you 3 habits, 3 basic habits for each of these quadrants that you can start working on. Okay, so keep that in mind. So again, quadrant number 1, physical health, working on the person in the mirror. Habit number 1, ignoring the importance of sleep. Number 2, poor eating habits, skipping meals or just not eating healthy meals, indulging, and so forth. Number 3, a sedentary lifestyle. That's where you're not moving much, maybe not exercising, and you're doing a lot of things that are counterproductive. Remember, we talked about being on social media, staying up late, watching television, doing all these things that could be hindering your progress. And sometimes you wake up really tired the next day and you just don't feel like getting up to do anything. And you know what? You go through this cycle every day. You're not getting enough sleep. You have poor eating habits and you're being sedentary. That will totally make you unproductive when it comes to your physical health. Now, there may be some specific habits that you can add to this quadrant, but these are the top 3. Ignoring the importance of sleep, poor eating habits, and being very sedentary. So that's quadrant number 1. Quadrant number 2, that's the mental focus area. Strengthening your mental muscle. Here are 3 habits. Number 1, over checking social media, like I mentioned before. You can also add in there over watching television, being distracted by a whole bunch of other things. Number 2, lack of prioritization. Now making the important things, not prioritizing the things that are most needful for you to take care of and tackle. Number 3, self-doubt and overthinking. We all are guilty of that. You know, sometimes we deal with imposter syndrome. We deal with negative self-talk and we go through these mental gymnastics. And you know what? It affects our sleep. Our mental affects our physical health. Our emotions get thrown off. A whole bunch of things, right? So sometimes when we get lost on social media, we see what other people are doing in terms of their health and their successes, their financial progress, their success in their education and business, and even in their relationships. And sometimes we turn the mirror on ourselves and we're like, oh man, look, you're not as successful or productive as this person. And so rather than allowing that to motivate you or inspire you, you fall back. And that's dangerous. And I want to pause here for a second before we continue on to quadrant number 3. I recently ran a 10K race here in Atlanta. That's basically just over 6 miles. And I was prepared for it. You know, my nutrition was dialed in. I didn't get enough sleep the night before, but I was really, I was excited about the race. Here comes race day. And I am there. The crowd is just booming. You know, I have friends there and everything is going great. The atmosphere was great. I felt good. And then right at the start of the race, you know, they say, runners, set, go, you know. So I'm starting to run and my heart rate just elevated, just shot up. I run with 2 watches, by the way. And one of my watches said my heart rate was way up to like 174. And so it just totally distracted me. It threw my whole game plan off because at that point, I'm trying to figure out how to lower my heart rate so I can, finish this race strong. But turns out that watch was misreading my heart rate. And I was over checking my watch like every second, and I went in with a game plan, but come race day, it was just, I felt like I did really bad, really poorly. My friends said that I did really good. And even after the race and days after, I had people telling me like, hey, you're just being too hard on yourself, But in the middle of the race, even on some flat surfaces, I started walking, man. I don't walk on flat surfaces, when I'm running. Usually when I'm going up really steep hills and if I'm gassed, then I may walk it. But it just seemed like this race, I was just off. And then a friend of mine, Anthony, I heard him behind me. He taps me on the back because he was running the race too. He was like, come on, man, you can do this. You're an inspiration to people. And then he passes me and he's running. Now, that was a boost that I needed. But by that time, I was already like mentally exhausted from trying to get back on track. And Anthony was gone. I was never able to catch him. It's not about catching people, but you understand what I'm saying, But it was that motivation that I needed that, in those times when my mental focus was off, it helped to strengthen me to keep going. When I was dealing with the self-doubt and overthinking things, it was good, So hopefully you can relate to that. Maybe you're going through a struggle right now and you're stuck in quadrant 2, your mental focus. And you're just like, man, I just don't feel like I can make it. I don't feel like I can make it up the rest of this mountain. The doctor said this and this happened in my relationship, or, this happened at work, and, and you have a whole bunch of things that you need to take care of and you don't know what to prioritize. I get it. And the self-doubt starts creeping in. But I want you to be encouraged. I want you to look at all those habits, look at all those challenges and speak to them and tell them that you will overcome them one by one. So again, that's quadrant 2. I felt like I needed to break for a moment to really speak to the heart of those of you who are listening, who may be going through some challenges with your mental focus. Taking a pill to help you to focus may not be the solution always. Getting lost in playing video games and letting your mind just wander in this fantasy world can be counterproductive, folks. I don't know what your habits are. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're struggling with right now, but I can tell you, when I was overweight and I was on insulin, I was on high blood pressure medication, I was on diabetes meds, I was on, just stuff, man, that the doctor prescribed, and it was tough. But I knew that I didn't want to be on meds the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to get that weight off of me. I had an image, a mental picture of what I wanted to be. And I wanted to be physically fit. I wanted to be lean. I wanted to be energetic. But I had to get over the hurdle of thinking of myself like a walrus. I was standing in front of the mirror and I didn't like the person I had become, man, my health wise. I didn't want to step on the scale. I would look at my stomach and I'm like, dude, I can't even see my feet anymore. That's crazy, man. You guys be encouraged, okay? Let's move on to quadrant number 3. This is time management. Mastering the clock, not the other way around. So here are 3 habits: procrastination, overcommitting, and poor planning. Do I need to explain any of those? No, you get it. You probably procrastinate and you need to get up. You need to start meal prepping or eating properly. You need to get up from watching television and the latest series. You need to put social media down. You need to get to bed early, at least 30 minutes to an hour earlier than you normally would go to bed. You need to stop overcommitting. Stop overcommitting yourself to make other people happy. There's things that you need to take care of in your own life that's affecting your time management. So stop it. Stop procrastinating. Stop overcommitting yourself, because that's going to affect you being able to prioritize your health. And I get it. You have loved ones that you have to take care of that's looking out for you. But listen, you have to take care of your health so that you can live long, live strong, get off those medications, lose weight, be diabetes free potentially, and be happy. I'm not saying you can't be happy if you're a certain weight, but I know you don't want to be carrying all this extra weight on you. Come on now. And don't let me get started with poor planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, like the saying goes. So poor planning, overcommitting, procrastination. Yeah, all the things, as they say, these are habits that you need to get in check and turn those around to be more productive, to make progress, and take control of your time management. Remember, it's about mastering the clock and not the other way around. Don't let the clock master you. You master the clock. I can spend a lot of time on quadrant 3 when it comes to time management, but I don't want to beat you up. There may be some other habits in quadrant 3 that you can add to, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, quadrant number 4, personal development. I love this one. Investing in your best self. Here are 3 habits. Neglecting continuous learning. Number 2, avoiding challenges. And number 3, negative self-talk. We've kind of already dealt with negative self-talk, but what are some challenges that you're avoiding? Are you avoiding going to the gym because you're afraid of gym shame? You don't want people to see how big you've gotten or that you don't know what you're doing in the gym? Stop it. You don't want to sign up for that 5K race because you don't like to run, or, you're not fast, or you just figure, you know what? I'm a diabetic. I just need to, be mindful that I can't do too much. So I'm not going to challenge myself. I'm just going to do a little, and it's okay to do a little, but I want you to make progress. What other challenges are you avoiding when it comes to your health? What are you neglecting to do when it comes to learning more about health and fitness? When it comes to personal development, there's always going to be distractions. Like in the background, you probably hear there's a train, right? The other day when I went running, the train got stuck and on the track, and it blocked me from being able to finish my race. My run, my morning run. And you could hear the train in the back. So this train was blocking cars, was blocking people from being able to get to where they needed to get to their progress, right? I had to decide, do I just stand there, not make progress, or double back and find another way around? Well, folks, I did just that. I said, what? I need to make progress. I need to keep moving. So that train, even though it was stuck for a long time, you had people having to make U-turns and go different directions. So I wasn't in it alone. I was the only runner out there, because it's a morning run, workout run. So I knew the area well enough that it came to mind, hey, why don't you just double back and go down this street, make a left here, make a left there. There's a bridge that you can cross over. And you know what? I did just that. And I finished my run. It threw me off course, but I found a way to continue making progress. It's the same thing when it comes to personal development and investing in your best self. What happens when distractions come? Are you going to stop and you're going to continue neglecting your learning and learning more about health and fitness, even learning more about type 2 diabetes because it's hard, just because that train in your situation is right before you? Are you going to avoid the challenges? Are you just going to give up, cave in because there's a train blocking you? Are you going to sit there and wallow in negative self-talk? Well, no, because listen, folks, the train is still moving while I'm recording this podcast, but it's becoming quieter and quieter, because guess what? Eventually that train is going to move. But even if it doesn't move at the pace that I wanted to, and at the pace that you wanted to, eventually it's going to be gone. And you're going to be there having to decide, do I keep moving? Because you know what? My momentum is thrown off. This is just really just throwing me off. So I'm just going to just quit. Or do you get back up Do you keep moving? Do you find another way around? Do you make more progress? It's up to you, folks. Listen, I have a library, an entire library of health and fitness books. I haven't read all of them, but I use them as reference material when I want to learn about this. I have books on anatomy, the physical anatomy, to learn about muscles and how the bones work and supposed to work. I mean, all kinds of things. So when it comes to your habits, is there something that you've been putting off learning about that, you know what, this upcoming year, I'm going to learn more about XYZ? I don't care what it is. If it's related to health, learn why sleep affects your mental health. Learn why sleep affects your physical health. It's more than just getting 8 hours of sleep at night, folks, just to be getting it. Quantity of sleep is not as important as quality of sleep, because you can be in the bed, but be tossing and turning for 8 hours because your mind is just going through all this mental gymnastics. So hopefully you get what I'm talking about. This upcoming year, folks, I want you to go into the new year strong. I want you to go in with a solid commitment that you are going to grow personally, that you're going to manage your time wisely, that you are going to strengthen your mental muscle and focus more mentally, and you're going to work on your physical health. This quadrant system that I came up with is to help you to accomplish just that. So there you have it, the Productivity Quadrant System. Think of it as your personal guide to breaking those unproductive habits that keep holding you back. Now, start with just one habit from each area and commit to working on it. That way, you're not overwhelmed and you're not setting yourself up for failure. You're simply making steady, meaningful progress. And remember, growth is a journey. Even if you're only taking small steps, those steps do add up. The goal isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Each small change you make will bring you closer to the life you want. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. You are going to break free from those bad habits, my friend. You are going to build a healthier, more productive you, one that you can be proud of. I want you to go into the new year strong. I want you to go into the new year with momentum. I don't want you to develop momentum once the new year gets here. I want you to go in productive. Go in already with a game plan. So until next time, as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, yes, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.